I'm just so proud. That's a situation that we all can take notice to. If you don't succeed in your job or in life, keep at it. And great job, Dave. Great job to these guys. Now, speaking tonight, again, Joe Wilson is going to talk first. Come on up, Joe.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Joe Wilson. I was a co-captain on the 1998 football team. And I'd like to start tonight with a few thank yous. I'll start by thanking the committee. What a great night, and it's such an honor. And thanks to the person that came up with the idea to induct all three teams. I couldn't think of a better night, so thank you. I'd also like to thank the parents. We weren't the only ones that had to follow Coach Carey's rules back in the day. They were expected to make sure that we ate a big breakfast, fix us 2 lunches, one for our lunch and one for after practice. They also had to wake us up in the middle of the night to make sure that we were taking our protein. I'd also like to say a quick thank you to the managers. You guys are a huge part of the team. You guys helped run the team, and thank you for your hard work and dedication. Now, the last time that I had to address the CB West team was back when I was a senior at the end of the year banquet, and I made the mistake of cracking a joke about Coach Patton. I mentioned that he wasn't such a great golfer. I looked up, everyone seemed to enjoy the joke, but I turned to Coach Patton, and well, let's just say he didn't think it was too funny. But no, in all seriousness, what a special time to be a part of CB West back in the late 90s. They put us on the back of Cheerio boxes. We were an Under Armour team before anybody even knew what Under Armour was. And back then, we would get visits from some of the best college coaches in the nation. I remember Joe Paterno came to see us a few times, Tom Osborne from Nebraska, and even Bobby Bowden from Florida State. So just a very special time. Now, in 1998, we were returning state champions. We were still led by 2 of the best high school coaches in America, Coach Patton and Coach Carey. We had a lot of key returning seniors coming back, and some very talented and athletic underclassmen. And then, of course, the best CB West offensive line ever. So all the experts, they did say that we were loaded, but one of the few lessons one of many lessons that we did learn at CB West is that you couldn't just show up and expect to win. You had to put in the hard work and the dedication. And that's exactly what we did. Now, the first 3 games, we outscored our opponents 156-14. So we got off to a pretty hot start. The 4th game of the season, that was a special game for a few reasons. Now, we were playing Norristown, and we were going for Coach Penn's all-time 300th victory at CB West. And we had just come off a win 41-0 versus Pennsbury. And they're traditionally a team that doesn't normally get blown out. But we on Saturday morning, we turned on the Inquirer High School Sports Show, just like we normally did. And most people saw it, but the game of the week was Norristown at Neshaminy. And Norristown ended up beating that team. They blew them out. And at the end of the game, the cameras caught it. All the Norristown players, they gathered at the 50-yard line. They put their helmets up, and they started chanting, "We want West! We want West!" Now, they must have mentioned this about 20 different times, but they had it on video. So we saw it, our coaches saw it, and then also the whole Philadelphia area saw it as well. And this is one of me and my brother John Wilson, another co-captain. This is one of our favorite stories of Coach Patton. And it was just like any other week. We weren't too worried about that, and we were just preparing and worrying about what we needed to do to win the game. But on Friday afternoon, Coach Penn called us into the weight room, and we were just watching game film of Norristown. He was quizzing us, just make sure we knew our plays and that we prepared. And all of a sudden, he takes out the video cassette, and then he puts something in, and there it is again. The Norristown players chanting that they want West. And when you knew Coach Penn was upset is when his voice would go a few octaves higher than it normally would. And we're watching, and he turns to us, and you have to excuse me, my Coach Penn impression's not that great. But if they want us, they got us, let's go. And we all started cheering, and the psych music started playing, and they did get us. They got us twice that year. We beat them that day for Coach Penn's 300th victory, and we beat them in the playoffs to end their season. Now, we had a few other memorable games that year. We played in the Penn Bowl, and we played them in the regular season. They played us tough, and we beat them by 1 point in what it seemed like a monsoon. And then we played them again in the playoffs, and we won both times. So it was a very memorable. And Coach Carey used to always tell us that if we can get out of the districts, then we're giving us the shot to get back to the mountaintop. And by that time, we were blowing out every team. And I remember when we beat Parkland in the Eastern Finals, it was 34-7, and the head coach was quoted as saying, "We threw everything at them but the kitchen sink." We were running 9-man fronts just to try to slow down the bleeding. It was as we went to war, and they were using tanks, and we were using pea shooters. A little dramatic, but you know the point. And then, before you know it, we were in the state championship again. And it was the first time in Hershey. It was 65 degrees, perfect night. And like Coach Carey said, Newcastle just really didn't have a chance. We put a show on that night. Every time we got the ball, we scored, and we ended up beating that team 35-0. Oh wait, excuse me, that was the halftime score. I remember Coach Carey gathered all the O-linemen at halftime, and it was bittersweet because we knew we had one more drive. The mercy rule was in effect, and he said, "You guys are the best. We got one more drive to go. Let's make the best of this, and we're going to get the ball in the second half. Let's get one more score, and then we'll celebrate." And that's exactly what happened. We got the ball, we scored. CB West that game, we had the ball a total of 8 times, scored 8 touchdowns, 8 extra points, and we beat them 56-7. And I remember Coach reading some of Coach Penn's quotes just recently after the end game, and you could tell he was very proud of us. And we all know that we wish Coach Penn was here with us tonight, but I know he's looking down on us, and he's still very proud. So I want to say thanks again to the committee, and hope everyone enjoys the rest of your evening.
Okay, so apparently I talk a lot. Mr. Stone asked me to go for 20 minutes, but I just don't do the average. I'll go for 21 minutes. That's for you, Mr. Stone. First off, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. It's really tremendous. Just having this whole entire group here together again. It's turned into a mini reunion, so some really great times here. Yeah, also to echo what Joe said, to our families, I always tell people I didn't play CB West football, my family played CB West football. It was all hands on deck type of thing, so thank you to all the families that are here. I gotta admit, I've had a couple beers tonight. I was feeling a little sluggish. Thank goodness Coach Carey's here. He gave me a carbo force. And also a cupcake that appeared to have creatine sprinkled on it. So I'm ready for 4 quarters of fury right now. He also wanted me to read off something here prior to all of us going to New Britain Inn tonight. He said, "Gentlemen, please drink your Desert Storm drink, 1 glass. Hydration is continuous." And if I'm reading this correctly, it's a surprise in turn of events since the bar's open tonight. Yeah, a couple things just to echo about the '98 year. Never forget that Parkland game. I always told people everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, so they had to learn a tough lesson. And one story about the Newcastle game, which Coach Pett and I kept butting heads about, and he said I was lying, but this is the truth. At halftime, I'd go out by myself to go meet with the other captains. So I'm jogging out to the center of the field, and they're walking out there and they're crying. And I can't say what I said to them, but I was kind of mocking them at that point. And the ref told me, hey, take it easy. And I'm like, this is pathetic. I mean, you're down 35-0, you're not going to put up a fight. I just didn't really have time for those guys. So I ran back to the sideline. Coach Penton's like, well, how are they? I'm like, they're crying. And he's like, go for their jugular. But I know there's going to be a lot of stories up here talking about what each team did through their season. I thought maybe I'll take a little bit different take, just some of the impact that CBS football has had on a lot of people that I probably guys don't even realize. Just I live out in California. I've traveled around the world a little bit. One of my college roommates and teammates, along with Greg Ward and Corey Potter, was a gentleman named Luke Hobgood-Chittick. His brother, Nate Hobgood-Chittick, played for Allentown High School. Played a Big 33 game with Rob Sweat. Took a full ride to University of North Carolina, played with Mike Gimbel there. And Nate went into the NFL and played for St. Louis Rams, won a Super Bowl, and he became one of Dick Vermeil's guys. So when Dick Vermeil went to Kansas City, Nate went with him. So Luke would always ask me, Corey, and Greg, he's like, I need some CBS gear, give me some shirts. So we hooked him up with one of our Team of the Decade shirts. And he would say, he's like, man, every time I go and travel around, I might be at an airport or whatever, someone comes up to me and goes, man, what do you know about CBS football? I think one of the really cool stories was there's a pretty good tight end, his name's Tony Gonzalez, you guys might have heard of him. Him and Nate were best friends, so Luke went to a party at Tony Gonzalez's house and he wore a CBS shirt. And he's like, wouldn't you know this? Tony Gonzalez looks at him and goes, whoa, you know CBS football guys. And he's like, I'm sitting there talking to this all-pro, future Hall of Fame tight end about CBS football. I was in, one of my deployments, I was in Iraq, and one of our commanding generals came out to talk, and I guess he played at Abington, and he found out I played at CBS, and he goes, yeah, we used to kick your guys' butt and everything. Now, I'm like a second lieutenant butterbar, like, you're supposed to keep your mouth shut. This is like a 2-star general, and I just, some people say I'm cocky, I say I'm confident. I said, General, what was it like when you woke up from your dream? And he was like, yeah, that's a CBS football player right there. Even my commanding general at Marine Special Operations Unit, General Paul Lefevre, he coached at Penn State for 3 years. The Vietnam War kicked off. He decided he wanted to kind of go check out, be a platoon commander in the Marine Corps. It's a funny story. He told me he went in and told Joe Paterno, like, hey, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go join the Marines. And Joe was like, you're crazy. You're going to go to war. He's like, yeah, I want to go do it for 3 years. And he's like, well, it's been 33 years and 2 stars later, and Joe keeps calling me every year, like, hey, when are you coming back? But when I would go and have meetings with him, we're supposed to talk about some things that are happening in the world and some serious stuff, and he wanted to know what it was like to play for Mike Patton. While I was in California, there's a very good high school football team out there called Modern Day High School. Some of you might have heard of them. A couple Heisman